Good evening. Let's call this meeting to order, the Champaign County Committee of the Whole for Elected County Facilities and Highway and Transportation. Roll call, please.
Kibler.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Langenheim.
Here.
Maxwell.
Here.
McGinty.
Here.
Michaels. Here. Mitchell.
Here.
Mosier.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Petrie. Here. Quisenberry.
Here.
Richards.
Here.
Rosales.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Alex.
Here.
Ammons. Anderson.
Here.
Bensel.
Here.
Bergson.
Here.
Betts.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Esri.
Here.
Holderfield.
Here.
James.
Here.
Jay.
Here.
Weibel.
Here, we have a quorum. Seek approval of the minutes for the Committee of the Whole for June 5th, 2012.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. James, second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Seek approval of the agenda and any addenda. Moved by Mr. Rosales, second by Mr. Esri. Mr. Alex.
Bear with me. I'd like to ask that item 10A, the resolution placing questions regarding the Champaign County Nursing Home on the November 2000 election ballot, be removed from the agenda. And if given a second, I would like to speak briefly to that.
Actually, I was going to have you do the state reason why under the announcements. That's okay? Which will follow us immediately.
I will do as the chair wishes.
Is there any objection to remove that from the agenda? There are no objections. I want to point out that items, pages 135, 136 are just absent. There's not that there's a numbering problem. There's not something missing. Also, for the audience, there's nothing here on the jail needs study. We're going to be talking about that next month. So if you're here to listen to that, we're not going to discuss it. And also, I'd like to move communications to right after approval of the agenda. Any objection to that?
Is there a motion that we're going to move highway?
No, we're not. Mr. Kurtz, we're not going to do that.
We're not going to
We're not going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on the agenda? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, communications, Mr. Alex.
I'd just like to thank everyone who participated in the discussion related to the referenda for the nursing home. On behalf of Mr. McGinty, Mr. Benzel, and I, the intent of this proposal was always to give the county options to protect the home in the event of a decrease in funding. During the process, we got a lot of good comments from members of the public, members of the board, members of our own caucus who felt that this was not the right way to pursue this and raised a number of good and valid procedural and substantive concerns. I would like to thank everyone for entertaining the proposal, but at this point it's clear it does not enjoy the support of the board, and I do not think it's worth moving forward.
Other announcements? Okay, let's move on to public participation. Please remember we have 5 minutes per person, and we have a total of 1 hour. First up is Joanne Hacob. I probably did not pronounce that right. Joanne? Well, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it? Okay, still speak. You can say anything you want. Doesn't have to be on the agenda. Pull the microphone down, please. State your name and where you're from.
My name is Joni Haycoop, and I work at Champaign County Nursing Home, and I just wanted to be here to show my support for Champaign County Nursing Home. I think this nursing home is a special nursing home because it does welcome even those who can't afford to pay, which is kind of a unique and special thing. A lot of nursing homes will not just accept anybody, and there's, I'm very involved there because I'm a CNA. I do hands-on work there. And as the article stated in the paper a few weeks ago, how they just did a $14 million renovations on the building, and if they were to sell the building, they would only get about $3 million. There would be a huge loss financially to Champaign County, not to mention the financial devastation of a lot of people without work, that would be without jobs. But most importantly, these residents who I see day in and day out, who a lot of them don't have family nearby, they don't have the means to pay, and this is their home. And I can't even fathom just closing this beautiful facility down, who does so much to help these residents and to give them a good life and good, healthy care. You know, I think it would be a very, very bad thing for Champaign County. I think it would hurt the county financially. I think it would be a really bad front for Champaign County to close something that is helping literally people who would be homeless, people who can't take care of themselves, people who don't have family members, a lot of these, and would have nowhere else to turn. And I respectfully plead with you guys, please do not put this on the ballot to shut the Champaign County Nursing Home down, because these nurses and these CNAs are dedicated and they love the residents there, and they give their lives to them, and these residents deserve our best, because they were moms and dads, and they took care of their children, and now it's time for us to take care of them. You know, Jesus said, what we do to the least of them, we do unto him. These are the least of these. These are the throwaways of Champaign County, some of these people, and they need a place, and they deserve to be respected. It's important to respect the elderly. These are the elderly, and we need to take care of them. We need to shelter them, and we need to do everything we can to keep this building up and running, and not just throw away the $14 million that was invested in this building and the beautiful facility that it is. And I can say every day they do things to help the residents. They have a lot of programs. They do a lot to help the residents. And I plead with you all to please do not put this on the ballot.
Mr. Joe Lamb. Mr. Joe Lamb, please.
Sorry, I don't mean to disrupt the momentum. My name's Joe Lamb. I'm with Open Road Asphalt at 1414 West Anthony Drive. Most of you have seen me earlier in the summer. I'm just here to urge you once again to please proceed with the Lincoln Road project, and to do whatever it takes to acquire the land necessary. I just briefly want to say, 5 years ago, when we worked with the county and the city of Urbana and the city of Champaign to move out of our location of over 60 years, we did it. We moved up north. Ever since, us and the other businesses that have moved up there have been landlocked. And since that time, in the ground that was our old yard and asphalt plant, the city of Champaign has extended 4th Street. The project is all but complete, and 5 years later, we're no further on Lincoln Avenue than we were. So it can happen, it does happen. We've just got to make a decision to do what it takes to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ron Kester.
Hi, I'm Ron Custer. I live in Urbana. I'm pleased that the board took the issue of the nursing home off the agenda for this evening, so I'd like for you to accept my comments just as background in case this debate comes back around again. I want to speak about the issue of privatizing the nursing home specifically and why I oppose privatization. I've been a volunteer at the nursing home for about the last 4 years. I go there Sunday mornings, and what I do when I go there is I give attention to the residents and I have them talk about their lives with me. This is a vital part of caregiving, is to listen to them and make sure that they're seen. And the reason why is because even though you can cover the medical necessities and the housing necessities, what you can't really cover so easily is just that sense of being cared about and listened to by somebody who's there for you. So sometimes when I'm there as a volunteer, I actually have a tape recorder with me. And I say, we're going to make your audio memoirs. And so they tell me about their life, what it was like as a child, what it was like as a parent, what it was like to be married, and how they feel now. And then I edit those together and give them those audio memoirs for their family and for their friends. And other times they don't want to do that. They just want someone to listen to them. And so that's what I do. I go there and listen as a volunteer. The reason why I bring this up tonight is because I think this is a crucial component in the debate about privatization. All right? Because as long as the nursing home and the care of the residents of the nursing home remains a public responsibility, then the care of those residents is going to remain a public discussion. All right? And so every time we talk about the nursing home, after we get done talking about money and the building and how we want to manage those strategic things, the debate comes down to what kind of care are we giving them? And to me, having a private corporation take over that debate means it becomes quiet. It means it becomes silent. And when you have the profit motive on one side and the issue of care on the other side, I think that what you're going to find is that the debate becomes about the minimal amount of care necessary in order to fulfill obligations. To me, that's an odious concept about the minimal amount of care you need to give somebody who's already in a desperate situation. The person I'm seeing right now, the person I saw on Sunday and I'm going to see next Sunday, is someone who has no children. She has no brothers or sisters. Her parents have passed away. She has no first cousins. In fact, she has no cousins in the United States. She has no family. The people who go to visit her and listen to her are people who volunteer to do that. All right? That's who goes there and does that. And to me, it's important to have a public debate about issues like that. A public debate about somebody who has the most amazing stories, but no one to talk to about them. And as long as this remains a public institution, the debate about care becomes part of every debate we have about that institution. If it becomes a private institution, I think that debate might disappear. So I hope you consider that. Thank you very much.
Chair McCauley?
Well, so I'm throwing out my speech I wrote because I was coming to speak to implore you not to vote for the referendum that was on the agenda, but since you've removed the item from the agenda, I have the pleasure of thanking the board for hearing us. The employees of the nursing home, the residents of the nursing home, the families of the residents of the nursing home were very, very concerned about this discussion. We weren't part of the discussion. We, heard about the discussion. We thought the referendum was a bad decision, and I'm glad that that the county board is going to take time to study the issue and revisit it. I see nursing home board members here who can speak much better to the operation of the nursing home than I can. I can speak from the employee's perspective, and feeling like your job is hanging in the balance is not a great feeling, as you heard from somebody who spoke earlier. So you get my praise tonight, County Board. Thank you for taking this off the agenda, and I hope that we can, in the future, have discussions together about the nursing home in terms of how to keep it viable, how to keep it a county operation. The workers believe strongly in it. They care about their residents, and we're happy to talk with you. We've also helped in the past in terms of, lobbying the state to get Medicaid money released. We're happy to, help use our efforts in that way as well. So, thank you.
Robert Michael Doyle.
I appeared before you last summer to ask for a proclamation, which you did provide us with. The proclamation designating July 2011 as Respect and Celebrate Civil Unions Month. I'm here tonight. I left on each of your desks a cover letter and a proposed proclamation designating September 8th, 2012 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgendered Pride Day in Champaign County. I hope this will be on your agenda next week. I will be back then. As I say in the cover letter, I will be here before and after all your August meetings to talk with anyone who wants to talk about this proposal. I especially am interested in talking to the people who are reluctant to vote for it. Thank you for your time.
Louis somebody, S-C-H. Pardon? Schwartz?
I just come to answer questions later on if I needed to. I don't want to speak.
Okay. John Dimon and Mike Kirchhoff, you're a tag team.
Good evening. I'm John Dimmitt with the Economic Development Corporation, at least for another few days. I come before you tonight for two reasons, and I'll cover the first one, and then we'll get to the second one that involves the gentleman behind me. First, we just want to make sure that the County Board is aware that the Economic Development Corporation is still concerned about the progress that's being made to complete the Olympian Drive and Lincoln Avenue project, and we want you to know that we still support it. And if you need anything from the Economic Development Corporation to help you understand or move forward or answer any questions, we'll be more than happy to do that. So that's the first item of business, and we're trying to stay within the 5 minutes. I also would like tonight to introduce to the County Board my successor. I'm retiring from the did retire from the CEO position as of the end of July, and we're in a transition period right now. And so the person behind me is Michael Kirchhoff. He is the new CEO of the Economic Development Corporation. We want to thank you for being the County Board, for being a participant. We have members of the board, of your board, that serve on our board of directors, and you help put together the resources that we need in order to be successful. Michael comes to us from Kansas City. He has a history in Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, before coming here. That's quite extensive, and as you get to know him, I'm sure he'll be glad to tell you about it. But he's on his 5th day on the job, and we've kept him pretty busy trying to get him around town to introduce himself to various people. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, John. It's my pleasure to be here this evening with you. I want to thank you for the opportunity to work with each of you. I'm looking forward to that. I welcome the opportunity to talk with you both collectively as a group and individually on matters of importance to the economy of Champaign County. John mentioned I have 23 years in economic development experience, starting with the state of Illinois here in Missouri, working with Illinois Power, with Illinois Power, with Indianapolis, with Kansas City, Missouri. In that 23 years, I've done about $2 billion worth of deals. And so I'm anxious to work with the same level of intensity here in Champaign County to help grow the economy. You are our partners in that. We look forward to doing that with you. I will leave some business cards up front, and for those of you who are interested, I'd welcome an opportunity to sit down and talk with you about your goals and objectives and vision for the future of Champaign County. Thank you so much.
Mr. Jack Knott.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to talk about the nursing home. And I believe that I'm glad that it's going to be taken off the ballot. We have a family member that's been there for a little over 3 years, and I'm very fond of the nursing home. I've been volunteering out there for musical ability for the last 28 years. And my mother was there, but not very long. But we have a family member now, and it does cost us, because we're private pay, and it costs us a little over $60,000 a year. And it isn't cheap, but I feel like we're getting the benefit of it. I know a lot of the CNAs, I know a lot of the nursing staff, and some of the administrators within the nursing home, and I personally would like to see it not privatized, because as the lady said before, we wouldn't have an opportunity to be able to do this. And I am very pro county nursing home, very pro. I'm very pro senior citizens, and some of us may well wind up being there. And it's important that you go, if you haven't been there to visit with someone, do so. For two reasons. One, it helps the citizen, and two, as far as I can see, it's your job to be there discussing matters with some of the elderly people and the CNAs and the LPNs and the nursing staff to get their perspective on things that could be improved or things that are just too political. at which there is also a tremendous amount of too much political BS, as far as I'm concerned. And so I would like to see us keep this nursing home issue very much alive until something is resolved. Thank you.
Jim Tiabi. Am I close?
Teabji.
Oh.
It was very close. Thank you all for having me. I'm Jen Teabji. I'm a resident of Urbana, and I work with Champaign County Healthcare Consumers. And I am here to speak about the Champaign County Nursing Home. And I want to thank you all for taking it off the agenda. But in case this may come up again, I want to share these comments on behalf of healthcare consumers. We are strongly opposed to the two referenda that had been discussed. 10 years ago, we worked very closely with the board's coalition to pass referenda to increase funding for the county nursing homes operations. And that referendum passed in every single precinct in the county, showing tremendous public support for our county nursing home and the people who staff the nursing home and provide care to our community members. Our community chose that, and for good reason, because public nursing homes have a higher quality of care. There's more staffing there. There are more nurses on the floor to take care of patients, take care of residents. The money is reinvested into the nursing home for profits, focus on the profit and not on the patients and the residents. So the higher quality of care that we see at a public county nursing home is very important, and that's why we speak on keeping it a public nursing home. Another advantage of a public nursing home like the Champaign County Nursing Home is that the workers have greater protection as government employees. There is accountability to the community. We all care about this, we are invested in this, and the nursing home is accountable to us as residents. So we hope that you all will keep this in mind. You will not put this back on, or put this on the referendum in November. And I thank you for taking it off the agenda today.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, District 8, Champaign County resident. In the Friday, July 6th, 2012 edition of the News-Gazette, County Board Brendan McGinty of District 9 was quoted by reporter Tom Kasich with regards to the nursing home, quote, "It would be short-sighted of us not to be prepared to go to the public and ask their opinion since they bankrolled the construction of the new nursing home in 2003. Let me read that again. It would be short-sighted of us not to be prepared to go to the public, the taxpayers, and ask their opinion since they bankrolled the construction. God damn, said the preacher man, you don't say that about the jail construction. Didn't the taxpayers bankroll the downtown Urbana jail in 1980 to the tune of whatever that was, millions of dollars? Didn't the taxpayers bankroll the satellite jail for $10 million? Didn't the taxpayers bankroll the quarter-cent sales tax to the tune of $49 million since 1998? Didn't the taxpayers bankroll all the deputy salaries, all the technological improvements, the $6.8 million worth of construction on the tuck pointing in the clock tower? And didn't the taxpayers bankroll what they were told was going to be a $15 million to $20 million courthouse expansion, which currently we still owe $29.5 million in 2012 on. Aren't we in debt, and aren't we bankrolling the $50 million of debt that we're carrying right now to the year 2029? And isn't this proposal for a $22 million jail expansion going to send us into debt to the year 2039? How come the taxpayers don't get to voice an opinion on that. I think you owe the taxpayers an explanation as to why they don't get to voice an opinion and vote on the $22 million tax expansion, jail expansion. Thank you for your time.
Alderman Fields.
I'm going to make reference to the relationship that Chris did between two issues that we've been facing locally. One of them is the jail issue, and then the other one, which was a surprise, dropped on us, is the nursing home issue. And maybe go back to my graduate student days when I was a graduate student in political science. And I learned three things that I think have been instructive, not only academically, but in practice. The first is that politics is really the authoritative allocation of resources. The second thing is that all resources are scarce. And the third thing is that when you approach one issue, you have to look at it systemically because it's going to affect other issues and other institutions that you're talking about. Which is why I put down, I want to talk about the public safety tax, not just about the nursing home and not just about the jail. I view the nursing home as a place of safety for senior people. And our interest in the nursing home should be directed at that. I would urge you to think about the possible uses of the public safety tax, which has already been approved by the voters, for at least two endeavors. One of them would be for the nursing home. As I said, I see that as a public safety issue. And as I can make of the definition of public safety, one, it could be used to do what Mr. McGinty said he was for Medicare in the future but isn't now. If something really drastic happens to state Medicaid payments, which is not the case now, they're dealing with those, then perhaps there could be a certain sum of that money which could be set aside either as a loan or as a grant for a backup to help the nursing home when these instances arise. Secondly, it could be used, as I understand the definition, for durable equipment and improvements in the nursing home. Now that would affect how much one could put into any modification of the jail situation. I think one could still make improvements in the old jail and keep short-term people in that way. In terms of any modifications on the new jail, I would urge that be limited to people who have physical or mental health issues which would require a different kind of arrangements. For example, the sheriff's told us that in the regular jail they cannot have electrical outlets. Well, what do you do with prisoners who need CPAP machines? You have to have electrical outlets. It seemed to me that you could create a structure next to the satellite jail, which would be not cost $20 million or anything approximate to that, but that would accommodate these people. So what I am urging you to do is think of monies that have been approved already by the public. You don't need a referendum on that. But think how you're dispersing these to get the maximum benefit and ensure the safety of the public and ensure the safety of our elder citizens who are so vulnerable. Because as was said before, if those people are pushed out of that nursing home, the private homes are not going to accept Medicaid people. They're only going to accept the number that they're mandated to by the state, which I believe is about 10% of their census. Whereas we try to achieve in the public nursing home a 50-50, and that is an invaluable resource. This community has shown time and time and time again that they want this nursing home to succeed. My mother was in it 4 years. I worked on the campaign back in 2003. The response we got was terrific. It has the support. I'm very glad that you dropped the referendum. I think the way it was presented and the timing would not have been a very good picture in the result. Thank you very much.
Is there any other public participation? Last call. Thank you.
My name's, I'm shorter than the last speaker. My name's Danielle Chenoweth, and I live at 412 West Illinois Street. My son, who was just walking around here kind of upstaging the county board a moment ago, he turned 1 in March. And we decided to take the party to the county nursing home. So his first birthday was in the county nursing home. We had such a fantastic time with the residents, and it's important that we look for ways to care for our elders and to integrate them into our community. So this issue of privatization of the nursing home continues to raise its ugly head on a regular basis. So I don't consider this issue over. I hope it is, but I don't believe it's over. I think the referendum as constructed, District 9 members, with all due respect, was a kind of voter extortion. Either you take this intense tax hit at a time when people are losing their jobs and struggling financially, or privatize the nursing home. I think most folks I've talked to really thought that was a kind of ugly way of putting it forward. I think if the discussion is how to make sure that the nursing home is viable, that's a totally legitimate discussion, which includes all of us, and includes the workers, and includes the caregivers, the family members, the residents themselves. I see this statement said over and over again: should the county be in the business of nursing home care? I'm a business owner. The nursing home is not a business. It has a financial component. That financial component needs to be viable in some picture that makes sense to us as a democratic public. But it's not a business. I don't want to see in the paper residents spoken about as Medicaid beds. I find that insulting. It's the wrong frame. The frame that is best used for the nursing home is the frame of family. So you all have families, and I think that it's important for all of us to have balanced budgets, to take care of our debt carefully, to invest wisely, but we don't think in terms of, can our son pay for himself? We don't think in those terms. We don't think, how can we cut costs? We don't talk about his bed as a Medicaid bed. And so I think our language needs to change to a different frame. These are our elders. These are some of the wisest people in our community, and they're isolated, they're alone, they're depressed. There's a lot we can do to make sure that they're cared for. Privatization means cutting the living wage, so it hurts the employees, and it means removing folks who are in there, who are paid by Medicaid, taking them out of the nursing home. That's what privatization means. And those of you who are middle class know that it's not just poor people who are paid by Medicaid. If you talk to your attorney, they will tell you how to game the system and move the assets of that elder to your mother or your grandmother out so that the state ends up paying for that person. We all know that is what's happening. So this could be you, this could be your parents. This is not just a poor folks issue. So I want to ask the question in closing, why does the nursing home have to pay for itself? The jail doesn't, the sheriff's doesn't, you all don't. You don't bring in income to pay for your stipend and to pay for your travel. Why does the nursing home have to pay for itself? It has to be economically viable. It has to make sense. It has to be safe. But it doesn't, I believe, it's a public service. It's in the public interest. And I don't believe the nursing home has to always pay for itself. So I would ask you to focus on care, more life, more activities. Bring the child care back to the nursing home. It was a real shame when the child care went away. Focus on recruitment, and please stop destabilizing the nursing home by talking about it being in crisis. I looked at the financials of the nursing home for 4 hours last night, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape right now. Even after, when we look at the balance sheet, we've got a couple $1 million in the bank after payments are made and we've collected what's owed us. And so I think things like this referendum send a message to the very people you want to recruit to the nursing home, saying the nursing home is destable. This is not where you want to put your mother, your father, your grandparents. And when we do that, we destabilize the nursing home. We need to focus on recruitment and quality of care. Thank you.
Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy.
I am the chair of the Champaign County Nursing Home Board, and I too had prepared remarks, which I will not make, which is kind of scary, because I do better when it's prepared. But I want to assure the board of two things. Number one, I know there's concern about Medicaid. MPA is working with the Comptroller's Office and the Governor's Office to expedite payments to county nursing homes. We do take the majority of Medicaid, Medicare patients, and they need to put us first in line when they make those payments. Secondly, in terms of looking for other streams of revenue, we are looking in dialysis. We have visited one dialysis provider. We're going up to Elmhurst to look at a home that actually provides it. There is a cheaper way to do what we want to do. Initially, we were thinking it was going to cost us $300,000, but in our meeting, the big cost is the purification of the water that is used in the process. And I'll tell you, after going through that facility, anyone that has diabetes or high blood pressure, if you want an incentive to do good, you need to go through a dialysis unit. So that's my public health announcement. But there is a cheaper way for us to provide quality dialysis at the nursing home. So again, we're still looking for ways to increase revenue. So again, we appreciate your trust. I think you appointed a number of very hardworking people, and we're going to keep working because we believe in the nursing home. I think as someone said, I also volunteer at the nursing home, these are farmers wives, these are architects, these are audiologists, these are people, I'm just talking about the people in my book group, these are people that live long enough, they have no resources. That could be you and me. And public nursing homes will not take them. And so I think they help build our community. And I think at some level we need to make as much efforts as we can to keep the nursing home going. I would invite any of you to come to our meetings. If you're interested in what's going on, I think it's much more educational for you to actually come to one of the meetings. I know you're busy, but again, we would welcome you at any of our meetings. Thank you.
Is there any other public participation? See none, we'll close that and move on to county facilities. Mr. Betts. And while you're up, I have a quick parliamentary question for you. Closed session. Should we bring this motion to the floor first thing going to closed session, or does it really matter?
We should do the closed session.
That's what no first.
Good evening. We'll begin briefly. We have a small agenda tonight, which is nice. If we could has everyone received the fiscal plant monthly expenditure report on your table? Any questions or concerns about that report? Go ahead, Pat.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the figures on this page. And I'm looking at what is listed here in the first three columns, which is 2011, and then I'm looking at the final five columns, which indicate 2012. And I need some explanation to appreciate why the figures for 2012 are considerably larger than those listed for 2011. I didn't realize that the cost of gas, electricity, water, and sewer had increased to that extent in this past year.
Alan?
Okay, are you talking just about the gas, electric, and water area? Is that what you're
I'm looking at the top four rows. And as an example, your data was 7/31/2011. Gas was basically $261,000 and change. And for 7/31/2012, it's almost $400,000.
No, you're looking at the original budget. If you look at the third from the last...
Oh, I see. Year-to-date is 200, basically. Okay, sorry. But electricity is higher, right?
That is correct.
And so is sewer. Okay.
Yes. We have, for the water service and sewer service, we have had increases this year that we have to take into, and it's increased the last couple of years, well, particularly. That will be noted when it comes time for budget. That's all documented in that coming, but there was about, I believe that was close to an 18% increase this year that for the water and sewer.
Okay, thank you.
Shall we entertain Mr. Richards?
Just want to follow up with Patsy's questions, especially looking at gas and electric, which bounces around. Looking at this through the end of July, about where do you think the expenditures on this are going to end up for the year would be your best guess?
Our best guess right now is that we're expecting to be right at our original budgeted amount of $400,000 for the gas and $900,000 for the electric. We're at 50.89% and 51% for the gas and electric, so we're really, really close.
Okay. So overall, you're guessing we'll probably come in around that 1.8 budgeted overall?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Langheim.
In regard to the gas and electric increase, how much of that is increase in charges and how much of it is increase in consumption?
There is not a gas and electric increase. We are purchasing co-op with the Champaign County Chamber of Commerce. If there's any increases, it would be just in transmission charges. So we have a fixed rate for gas and electric through the next several years.
That's not the question.
I'm sorry?
There is an increase here, right?
Not in this year, no.
Well, what budget for 12 is 400. Actual for, it looks to me like there's an increase. You're telling me there's none.
We have spent a little bit more this year on electricity. To date, 7/31 this year, $461,091. This time last year, we were at $437,000.
Now, the question is, what roughly, I know you can't give me the precise figures, how much of that represents an increase in charges and how much of it represents an increase in consumption?
I cannot answer that right at this moment. Okay. There is definitely not an increase in charges.
So it's all an increase
in consumption? Yes, with the extremely hot summer with the air conditionings running as hard as they have, as long as they have, is the only thing that we have to go with at this point in time.
Mr. Carter?
Yeah. I'd like to know other service, can you understand? Other services.
All other services? Yeah. Well, can I ask Renee to help us?
All other services is probably about 30 or 40 line items with different various services that the physical plant budget has to provide for operating all of the county's facilities. So they're just grouped together to show you the total for all services.
I know you're allowed to have a certain amount of money that we don't have to, authorize, but that's quite a bit. Go around and nobody knows where it's from.
The detailed budget document is on the website if you want to see all of the specific line items and where they're budgeted.
Ms. Cowart, did you have a question? Any other questions? Chair would entertain a motion to receive and place on file. Moved by Mr. Kibler, seconded by Mr. Esri. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. The 202 Art Bartel Construction Project.
On page 6 of your agenda is our monthly spreadsheet showing the expenditures for this past month. And the payments this past month have been mainly to the cross construction for a large portion of the construction. Approximately $341,226.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve and place on file, and then we have discussion. Moved by, who has moved? Mr. James and Mr. Schrader. I'm sorry. I'm blind as a bat tonight. It is moved and seconded. Discussion. Mr. Schrader.
I see, I hope this is a permanent savings, $8,655, is that correct?
I'm sorry, I did not understand.
Second, on the change orders line. Alan, change orders line, page 6, $8,655. Second column. Change order.
The change order was that only pertained to the construction of the building. That is not, doesn't have anything to do with and that was a negative change order where we saved the money. Not doing the underground utility work at that time.
That's why I wondered what that was for. So
Yes.
that will be an expense at some time?
No. That was a deduct from the original contract, and we never did spend that money.
Okay.
Other questions? Patsy?
Just a clarification question. I see you had the East Campus Stormwater Project folded in to this. Was that not a separate project?
That was included in the project budget with this building project. Doing the stormwater management for the campus was part of the original project that gets reported with this budget.
Thank you.
Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We have this evening a lease renewal with Neiman Foods for the courthouse employees. I gather it's the same price and same number of space as the previous contract. The chair would entertain a motion to approve. Moved by Mr. Weibel, seconded by Mr. Benzel. Discussion. Mr. James.
Deb, how long have we had this lease now?
I don't know, Alan, is this like the 5th year?
I believe
for this one?
Yes.
For this one, I think.
Well, just a couple of notes. I was looking at this, and that figures out roughly, on 50 cars, that's about $280 a year per space. And then I noticed that we're also responsible for keeping up with lining it and repainting it and all that other stuff. I don't know, if we can negotiate that next time or not, because to me it's their land, and if we're paying that kind of money. And then I also see we pay insurance. We do a coverage. I don't know what that is for that. But when I look at that, and I know Patsy always quotes the U of I and how great things are over there, which they are, but they make their employees pay, and I think sometimes we need to make sure that our employees know that this is another little perk that the county is paying for them. And with that said, at one time, I thought the discussion centered on that maybe 20 to 30 people were using those spaces. Is that correct, or is it more?
We have, over the years, made sure that we assess the number of spaces. We, a couple of years ago, I believe, had enough spaces for all the employees, and then we did checks and determined how many people are actually parking there. We've done that again this year, and these spaces are largely utilized at this point in time. And in answer to your other issue regarding county employees, but you have to remember, you have county employees who have free parking everywhere except downtown.
Right. And then I guess my next question would be, there's no, like off to the side of the jail or anywhere down the road, because of the money we're spending, that we couldn't acquire some land and make a little parking lot?
Well, we've utilized everything we have. We're using part of the courthouse parking lot for employees. We own a small lot behind the Jiffy Lube at the corner of Main and Cunningham, and we use that for county employees. The sheriff's office has parking on his property, which we use. So we're using as much as we can of what we own, and this is just the balance that we have to provide spaces for the rest of the employees.
Okay, just thought I'd point it out. Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Chair's report, I don't have a report. Other business, we don't have other business. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Reinhardt, at the Democratic Caucus meeting, there was a discussion and a straw poll in support of attempting to provide some improvements to the downtown jail, specifically deferred maintenance types of repairs, out of money that we have at this point in this fiscal year. And my understanding from the county administrator is that you've taken some time to look into some projects that might be shovel-ready, so to speak.
I have, yes.
I would ask that you, well, I would ask for a couple of things. One, if you could suggest how we might proceed at this point to get some of those things done. My assumption is that you can probably bring those to us at an upcoming meeting, either a COW or the full board, and we can talk about them, see if the numbers are in line with what we think we can handle, and then how would we move forward with that?
Certainly. There are two options we need to definitely take a very serious look at. That they're both related to water infiltration. Okay, we need to seriously do some roof maintenance, extensive roof maintenance. I'm not talking about roof replacement, but we can gain another 5 to 10 years out of our roof if we work on the roof lines where we have continually repaired flashings and roof leaks. The second part is, I don't know if you've noticed during the presentations we've seen a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that we're in dire need of tuck pointing and doing some brickwork on the outside of the building. We actually have some corners that you can see structured. Well, actually, it's not structured because it's a steel frame building, but the facade is starting to take moisture to brick separating, and it needs attention badly. And I can have whatever this committee would like, whether you would like written estimates or proposals, trying to get it finished this year. We have to be careful how much money we've got available and how much time we have to get it completed before winter comes. So,
Mr. Alex.
If I could follow up and mention a couple of things. One, I mean, that sounds good. Obviously, there's no point committing money this year for work that we can't get done. So I think we'll trust you to give us an estimate of how much that would be and what you think we can realistically hope to get bid and accepted and accomplished in this construction season. The other comment I should make is, and I've had discussion with other members as well. This part of this suggestion came out of a discussion that Mr. Maxwell and I had a month or so ago. I think there's general support for the idea that we are, regardless of what happens with the downtown jail and the satellite jail in the future, we're going to have to operate that facility for some time, and we recognize that we've been, to some extent, remiss in addressing some of these deferred maintenance issues. So I think we want to look at making sure that that continues to be, a functional building for the foreseeable future. So I appreciate you telling us what you can tell us to help us with that.
Thank you.
In line with what Mr. Alex said, I think that would be a good item for the September agenda, to give a bit of a prioritization in relationship to the costs and what's reasonable given what we have in our pocketbook.
Yeah, I guess if you can indulge me one last comment. My only concern, I guess, is given the length of the construction season, I would like Mr. Reinhardt to identify, how soon would we have, what steps would we have to go through and when in order to gain some bang for our buck this year? I mean, is this something that we would be able to discuss in terms of giving you direction at the full board meeting coming up so that in September we could make a final decision or even authorize bids in September?
To try to get some work completed, a certain amount of work completed before this year's over, if we were going to do a large-scale bid project, we would not be completed with the project. It will take 3 months just to put a bid product out, bid it, and results. Okay? If that's what you want to do, we can. That's what we can do. If we want to keep it smaller scale projects where we can follow the county's purchasing policy and keep it underneath the threshold, then we can move faster on it with, instead of a full bid, we could use obviously the multiple price quotes on that. It's the committee's direction of how you would like to do that. So, and a value of, we could do, $30,000 or less for a roof repair, or we could take it up to, for a small section that's bad, to we could expand that to whatever level you would like to go to, maybe up to 100,000. Okay, we hit that level, we're definitely, that's a full-blown bid package, and that's not going to be, any work would not be completed this year.
Patsy.
Building on what Mr. Alex said, then I'd like to maybe suggest further direction of what you bring to the board, and that is bringing to us 3 possibilities. The first possibility being that where we can do things quickly, in other words, it's under a certain level of cost, and therefore we can move faster. The second one being one that is a combination of that and where we might have to do some bidding, and then the third one, more full-blown work on the downtown jail, where indeed we do have to go through that longer process of bids, and with that, some rough timeline, so we have some judgment of what that means in relationship to when we might be able to get the work done, and then we can make some more educated choices when this comes to the board for discussion.
Certainly. Okay.
Do you feel you have direction?
I believe so.
Okay. In terms of, and thank you, Chris, I forgot about that issue, I apologize. Designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda, I think the only item that we had that requires action is the lease renewal, and it was unanimous, so it's on consent.
Next up is Highway and Transportation, Ms. Kohler.
Good evening. The first thing on the agenda is the county and township motor fuel tax claims for June, July 2012. And it's been moved by Patsy and second by Mitchell. Excuse me, I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't read. Okay. It's been moved and second. It's open for discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we're going to go into the county engineer's report.
The second item is our annual resolution appropriating money from the county motor fuel tax fund for maintenance costs, and this is actually for the year 2012, which we're, well, I guess two-thirds of the way through, but you can see the resolution there, and immediately behind the resolution on page 14 is our county estimate of maintenance costs that we send down to IDOT for their approval. So this resolution is simply appropriating the money from the motor fuel tax funds for the estimated costs that are on the IDOT Bureau of Local Roads form.
Move to approve.
Been moved and second, it's open for discussion. Patsy?
Again, this is purely information questions. We're in August, and this is for the year 2012.
Right.
Can you help me understand the timeline, why we get a resolution when we're two-thirds or three-quarters through the year, rather than at the first of the year for these monies?
No real reason. It's we actually have the monies. They're in our motor fuel tax account. This actually just is a sign-off by IDOT to approve the expenditure of those. And we really have a difficult time sometimes estimating our costs, and when you get into the year and actually find out what your costs are, it's a lot easier to come up with a real number instead of just taking a shot at it and maybe way overestimating it. And then what that does is it holds the money in that account, and then we have to do another accountant work in order to get the money back so that we can use it for other things. So it's not really that we need to send the resolution in at the beginning of the year. You can send it in at any time during the year. This has just kind of been the time we've done it annually, since we kind of know what our costs are at this point.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Pius?
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation which is probable or imminent against Champaign County, and to consider the purchase of real property for the use of the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5 for removal of the following individuals we named present: Bill Gray, City of Urbana, County's legal counsel, county engineer, county administrator, recording secretary. And I so move.
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Langenheim?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
McKenzie?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
O'Connor?
No.
Petrie?
Yes.
Quisenberry?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Salas?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Whitehall?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bensel?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Betts?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Esri?
Yes.
Holderfield?
Yes.
Day?
No.
Day?
Yes.
Kohler?
Back in open session.
Keep it.
Okay, Tim.
All right, back on the agenda items. So, item C, Joel, do you have the resolutions? Oh, they're at your desk, okay. So the resolution for item C is at your desk for the approval of acquisition of property by eminent domain.
I so move.
Second.
Roll call vote.
If I may, I would ask a couple of hopefully friendly amendments on the second page, the second whereas clause. We should now read, whereas Champaign County had previously determined the value which it believes to represent a fair market to be offered market value to should read, whereas Champaign County has previously determined a value which it believes to represent a fair amount to be offered to the owners of the property interest described in attachment A, B, C, and D. The second amendment would be in paragraph 2 of the following page. There's a blank line. I believe that should now read September 15th, 2012.
Okay, Patsy?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Fletcher. I'm trying to resolve my own lack of support for eminent domain. As an urban planner, I just have trouble with that, even though, and I voted against the agreement, so I never supported the fact that that was in it. So my question to you is, what is the possibility of separating this resolution? So one part of it is for the purchase, so forth, and then a second resolution that is for the eminent domain.
I can draft something that has that effect. I can't produce it tonight, but I can
No,
do that.
but it is feasible. All right, thank you.
Point of order, should not be the friendly amendments by Mr. Fletcher be approved? I'd move that we accept the amendments as Mr. Fletcher outlined.
Okay, been moved and second. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. I will go back to the main.
Yeah, now we're back on the main motion. And it's been moved and seconded.
Okay, that's been moved and second. James?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I do agree with some of my teammates here that eminent domain is not something that I would choose to do if I had other options, but I believe that time is of the essence, and there's a timeline specified here that we can work under, and so I will be supporting this motion and hoping it moves on to the full county board meeting for consideration.
Okay. Stan?
I'd like to call for a roll call vote on that.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call. Now, Alex?
I'm no great fan of eminent domain either, but I think we need to look at where we are and how we got here and where we're going, which is eminent domain is a sale. I mean, it is a forced sale. It is a sale where the fair market value of the property is determined by the court, but it is a sale. And I recognize that landowners may have the right to not want to sell their land, or certainly do have the right to not want to sell their land. But very few public works projects of any significant size take place without having to use eminent domain to acquire some typically small portion of the land. And I think it is inconsistent, would be inconsistent for this board to have come out in support of the project, the majority of the board, and now to essentially turn our back on what frankly is probably the tool by which this project is going to get built, because it sounds like we do not have entirely willing sellers. I don't like it, but if it's the only, it is quite likely that maybe the only way to move the project forward. I hope it doesn't come to this, but if it does come to this, I think that our agreement to support the project implies our agreement to support this process, and I will support it now.
Brandon?
Specifically, I'd asked Jeff about whether this strayed from what our board had worked on with regard to the route, and it does not. And for the reasons that have already been stated, I also am going to be in support despite reluctance to do it in all cases.
Ralph?
I'd just like to point out that this is an authorization, it's not a direction, so it's discretionary.
Maxwell?
Thank you. I too don't like using eminent domain except as a last resort. However, I will support this motion to move this question to the full board meeting.
Any more discussion? Okay, roll call.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Langenheim.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
McGinty.
Yes.
Michael. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mosier.
No.
O'Connor.
No.
Petrie.
No.
Quisenberry.
Yes.
Richards.
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Ammon. Anderson.
Yes.
Wenzel.
No.
Bergson.
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Esri.
No.
Holderfield. No. James.
No.
Jay.
No.
Cowart.
Yes. Carries. Motion carries.
Okay. Other than that, there's just that letter in the, for information purposes, and that concludes my report.
Okay, then, we've got, 8C is gonna go on, not going on the consent agenda. A, B, and D go on, consent agenda.
Was B unanimous? Consent, yeah, B.
Yeah, I said A, B, and D.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Next up is DLUC, Mr. Kurtz. Call the break.
Mr. Kurtz, may we have a 5-minute break?
5-minute break?
Yes.
Please. 3.5. 3.5, whatever. Take a 5-minute break. 20 on. Okay. Let's come back in session. ELOC number 9. A, consideration and approval of resolution approving amended partial release of judgment, amending Resolution 8169. So moved. So moved by Stan, second by Esri. There is the resolution, should be on your desk. Any discussion? We've talked about this previously. Tom?
So the important is spending in my office has had a long-standing number of suits.
You're going to, so you're recusing yourself? All right, Tom's recusing himself. Any other discussion on this issue? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's I'm asking that we move B below D so that we can finish up on the 2 zoning ordinances and changes. So I'd like to go to C. That's okay, no objection. Thank you, Aaron. No objection. All right, zoning case 721AM-12, Premier Cooperative Incorporated. This is a request to amend the zoning map to change the designation from AG1 to B1 Rural Trade Center zoning district to allow expansion for existing non-conforming grain elevator. The ZBA voted approval of this unanimously.
Move approval.
Second. Whoops, I'm sorry. Esri first, Jeff second. Do we have any discussion on C? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. D, zoning case 723-AM-12, estate of John Burkett with co-executives Thomas Fiedler and Dennis Burkett. Request to amend the zoning map to change the designation from B3 Highway Business Zoning District to the B4 General Business Zoning District. Diane moves, second by Max. Any discussion on this? The ZBA also approved this unanimously. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move B down, and this is the FY 2013 RPC County Planning Contract and Work Plan for approval. I'd like a motion on the floor, please. So move, Lorraine. Second. Michael, did you second? Sure. Okay, thank you. Okay. I thought you raised your hand there. Mr. Moore, Cameron?
would you please step to the podium and give us a little bit of a background on the planning of
I'd be happy to do that. As you all are aware, we've been before you on this issue. There were some changes that were made based on feedback from the county board, specifically the items related to county building code needs analysis and a building code cost-benefit analysis and recommendations were removed from the draft work plan, and substituted with that were some items that are sort of really required things in order to comply with both county and some state regulations. Regarding regulations with the state fire marshal for multifamily units, liquor licenses, et cetera, and then also some information related tasks that would help make sure that county residents have information about natural resources management, conservation of woodlands and other habitats. So, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that anybody may have about the draft work plan.
Thank you. And we have any questions or discussion? None? Okay. Well, Ms. Petrie.
I have a number of questions as I read over the plan. First one is the group that you just listed. Why are not those agencies doing this work rather than paying for it in a contract with RPC?
Actually, that might be a question, John, that you could be better able to answer.
Which agencies are you?
Well, the fire marshal rules, the forest preserve, things like that. Why is this additional work that we are putting in this contract?
Okay, regarding the fire marshal rules, we're actually going to revise this memo. The county's R&E licensing ordinance and liquor license ordinance states that all facilities shall be in compliance with the state fire marshal requirements, and yet it doesn't ask for certification of that or any information about that whatsoever. So every year you approve liquor licenses for bars, you don't know if those facilities meet the state fire marshal requirements or not. And so during the preparation of the LRMP, we had recommended these policies so that in the future, you would know whether, say, a bar meets the state fire marshal requirements for life safety. So it's no other requirements other than your own there. Regarding the, I think you were maybe referring to item 2013-15N, develop an information package regarding natural resource management guidelines. Again, we have no reason to believe that the Soil and Water Conservation District or the Forest Preserve District is needing anything, but the county, another part of this work plan, is to develop guidelines for management of natural resources as a requirement, a regulatory requirement in the zoning ordinance. And to go along with that, there was this policy that, well, why don't we at least prepare a handout to help people, make these decisions that we think they should be making. So these are nothing more and nothing less than the county board's adopted policies. In some instances, they'll lead to regulations. In some instances, they'll simply lead to informative handouts.
So are these things your office cannot handle?
These are things that we do not have time to do. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Cameron. Our next issue, number E, 5-year update to the Champaign County Solid Waste Management Plan, 2007 update. Motion, please. We have to have a resolution on this. Mr. Keebler, Jan. Any discussion? Patsy.
Yes, I have some questions of Ms. Monte. I see she's here.
Thank you. She's here. She's at our beck and call.
Thank you. If you had had your druthers and you could have had anything in this plan, what items are missing that you would have liked to have seen in the plan?
Well, the purpose of this 5-year update is to provide the Illinois EPA with information that they consider as minimally necessary to update the county's over 20-year-old solid waste management. Now, at this point in time, the county has neither the resources nor is it in the action items identified for the near term to achieve a comprehensive update of the Champaign County Solid Waste Management Plan. So what we have done for this required 4th 5-year update is essentially to provide updated information in the sections of the report required by the Illinois EPA and to essentially carry forward the previous recommendations. So what you have before you is the minimum amount of information required by the Illinois EPA. Essentially, no funds are available from the state to pursue any additional work on updates at this time. You may be interested in knowing that a House bill just recently was passed, I have the numbers somewhere, which appointed a 2-year task force to examine the state of this solid waste management stuff in Illinois comprehensively and provide recommendations about how to move forward at the county levels. So we'll be following that task force with great interest and looking for opportunities to input to that task force once it's assigned. And I'll keep the county board updated on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, the last F is for information only, public notice of Illinois EPA public comment period for proposed renewal of the Clean Air Act program, Guardian West and Flexingate Manufacturing in Urbana. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, we'll move forward. I'd like to propose the next motion be an omnibus motion for the entire G group, which is all interrelated. As you notice, 1 through 5 are all relating to the rural public transportation grants, and I would like Mr. Lloyd as a first. Thank you. Mr. Maxwell as a second. And if you'd like an update, we have our people here. I've discussed this with them, and they're absolutely elated as the result of what's gone on in the rural area. In fact, far exceeded their expectations, and I wish we had more money to get some more transportation, but we don't. But it's been an extraordinary 2-year period. It's 2 year now, period. If you feel you'd like to hear from them, I'd be happy to bring them up. If not, we can just move forward on this motion. Mr. Schroeder.
Yeah, I have some questions.
I have some questions. Could you please? Thank you. Please introduce yourself when you get to the microphone.
I'm Eileen Sierra. I am the Human Service Transportation Plan Regional Coordinator, and I work with RPC in facilitating the quarterly Champaign County Rural Transportation Advisory Group meetings. I'm Amy Marchant. I'm the CEO of Chris Healthy Aging Center, and most importantly, Chris
Thank you. Obviously, it's the last few years have been very successful, and I applaud you on that. But I have some questions with the finances. In particular, I think the last time that it was discussed here on county board level was, I asked the question if, and I haven't looked at the website, at the time when I asked the question, they were not accessible. Are the finances of Chris available on the website now?
Yes, sir. We're completely compliant with I think at the time that you were doing it, we were developing the website. The Mass Transit District was actually formed just over a year ago, so this is the timeline to get that established.
Okay. I see that the state grant is, I'm looking at page 104 on my board packet. And on the funding, the very, very last paragraph, it states that the state kicks in $525,140 and change. And the last time I think the last time we saw numbers, the state was not up to, they were behind in their payments. Where are we at today with the state?
This state owes Chris.
See, I think the last time somebody was here, it was like $167,000. So now it's $500,000 now.
But we do have some payments coming, so it's working out. But it is something that the Cristobal Mass Transit Board takes a liability for, and owes the money from a bank to cover the costs, cover the delayed funding, which is what most social service agencies do.
Any word yet on how much you're going to receive and when?
Can you better speak to that?
Right now, we've just been told that the priority has been when you submitted it, and based on a certain level is how it gets paid out first. From the state, they just say, keep an eye out for the comptroller's office, all paperwork has been submitted. For the feds, because the federal and the state is submitted at the same time frame, with the federal, it takes about 4 weeks before the money is actually cut, the check. And so it does have a lot of signatures, but really there is no good time frame that's known of when they'll pay, but they said they're working through the backlog.
Well, with the debtor state that we live in, that's what concerns me. Is it's $500,000. It was $167,000. Now it's $500,000. It's grown exponentially. I think it's going to continue to grow, and I think what bothers me is who's going to be left on the hook for these bills. That's what bothers me, and I think it's going to be the county. That really concerns me.
Intergovernmental agreement that actually is referenced in the intergovernmental agreement that Chris is responsible for the actual credit, a line of credit that covers cost and the reimbursement.
But I mean, we're authorizing grants and things, so this county board is also liable to a certain degree also, I would assume.
As the pass-through, as the grantee, we are liable, as we are always, for compliance and submitting the appropriate paperwork, but for the actual line of credit, Chris is actually on the hook.
And that's what really bothers me. Not so much that what I just stated, but I think this is only going to end bad for Chris because of the state, the way they are. It's not going to get better with the same people running the state. It's still going to be a disaster. And it really concerns me because this thing's 2 years up and running. I've seen Pyatt Train running. I know they're going to be the same boat too. I've seen the other counties around that I've driven into and seen the mass transit out in rural areas, and they're all going to be in the same boat. This thing's going to come crashing down, and it really bothers me. Thank you for this answer. I appreciate it.
Stan, and then Astrid.
And I somewhat agree with John, but I think we've had this discussion, and it was brought up at first, and I give Amy and her staff a lot of credit. I think that if we got to that point, when I said in some of the meetings, because I serve on that committee, I think Amy and those would do just by us. They're not in it just to keep it rolling because they can. They make good, firm decisions, and they keep, as far as an agency that I can see, they do very well at making sure the money's well spent and collected, and like them taking that line of credit out. And to their credit, they've ran this type of stuff before. When you say 2 years, they have a history of this. So they can read the tea leaves probably as good as we can, which is probably not at all.
Astrid, microphone, please. Thank you.
How many trips have you provided in the past year?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm very proud to tell you that we've provided 17,650 trips since February 15th, 2011. We serve over 830 residents for those trips.
Michael? Let me just follow up with
where Astrid was going. 17,000 this year, how did that compare to your projections for the year?
We actually anticipated serving 50 people a day, and we are topping that out, sometimes doubling that. And so but our average number of rides a day is around 70 to 80. But our goal was, after 2 years, to give 50 rides a day. So you can see that just in the first 4 or 5 months, we were exceeding what we hope to exceed in 2 years' time. So it's not really Chris, I shouldn't say that, it's me that's making that happen.
And it's great that you're filling that need. What are your projections for next year? Did I see 16,000 rides, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, and that's correct. And really, the next level is continue to teach the riders that this is not a taxi service, that this is a bus service that you have to share rides with. And so to continue to convince them to fill the bus and be patient and let us fill the bus before we move into town. And that's going rather well, but it's a training process for the rural rider versus a metro in the community, in town rider.
What challenges are you guys seeing, besides the fact, obviously, that the state isn't paying you?
Equipment, vehicles, having enough vehicles to provide the service, capital expenses, as Arlene, and it takes quite a few years. The project in Vermilion County that we've been overseeing for a quarter of a century has taken that long to get 27 or 28 vehicles. So it really is a matter of time and just being in the right place at the right time and being very assertive when funding opportunities come along to access funding to get more vehicles so we can get more rides. Because we have the money to pay drivers, but we don't have enough vehicles to drive the water.
It sounds like you expect ridership to be fairly flat. So what you're saying is limiting that basically is capital for the vehicles. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Chris?
I was just curious, you said your ridership significantly exceeded your initial projections. To what would you attribute that? Is it specific groups of people that are using it that you didn't know would use it, or specific destinations that you weren't aware people would want to go to? I mean, can you give us an idea, or is it just essentially the people who you thought, but more of them?
Well, really looking at other communities and watching how their ridership grew over the years, and Champaign County is a little more trendy than the average Illinois county, and so the concept of taking a bus sunk in a lot faster with the rural riders in this county as compared to Iroquois or Ford or England or what other county that we might have compared our projections with.
Well, I admit I was to some extent a skeptic when I looked at the initial numbers, but I think it's clear that you've been very successful with this. I mean, I think there was an initial sort of shock at the county level in terms of how much money was going in compared to how much you were generating from fares. This is obviously a service that is, heavily subsidized. I mean, it's a public service provided by the state and the feds to ensure that a population that wouldn't otherwise have access to transportation does. And I think if we look at it in that context and look at the efficiency with which you've taken that state and federal money and turned it into 17,000 rides, I think that's pretty impressive. So thank you.
Lloyd?
Unless I missed it, I don't see a county makeup fee, is it?
A county makeup fee?
Yeah.
You mean the county paying part of this?
Yeah.
There's no cost to the county.
Okay.
No cost.
Okay.
Jan and Pat. Jan?
Well, having served almost my full 12 years on the Mental Health Board as a liaison from this county board, over that period of time, any survey we ever did or having agencies filling out any kind of form, transportation was always listed as one of those problems that needed some attention. So maybe I'm somewhat surprised at your numbers, but yet on the other hand, I'm not, because that's always been one of the main problems with programs, that transportation was needed. So I applaud you for what you're doing.
Patsy was next, then Rocket. Is there anyone else who hasn't been heard besides Patsy? Okay, Patsy, go right ahead, please.
Thank you. A couple of comments and looking at this maybe through a different lens. I am the liaison to this group, and I do appreciate John's concerns and the financial status in the state. However, because I am an urban planner, I think this tells us a huge story about what we should be thinking about in relationship to our planning within the county and the needs. And I'm not surprised at all at the numbers, because we know when we do our studies in transportation planning that the people out in the rural area are an aging population, and these people need transportation. And as a civil society, we need to be starting out to figure out how we are going to do this and support it. And mass transit is a subsidized means of transportation. So for our concerns about how we're going to support this is important. However, we need to be thinking about that we are an aging population, and it's better to be supplying mass transit than having these people on the road in cars and other issues. So I do hope as we move along, and if things get tight, that my fellow county board members will look at it as a long-term solution of how we keep mobility for our society.
Thanks, Patsy. Thank you. Rocket.
One more hopefully quick question. Looking at your service area in northern Champaign County, where are your rides mainly originating from?
The majority of our rides are the Rantoul area. You are the study person for the maps.
The majority is definitely in Rantoul, but the general public service actually covers Gifford, Ludlow, and Thomasboro as well. And there are increasing in rider numbers there. It's just, the populations are smaller. So
Well, the population's mainly going to be in Rantoul for that. Are these rides disproportionately to population coming from Rantoul, or is it just because Rantoul has maybe 75% of that population?
It's not disproportionate when you look at the transit-dependent population, when you look at the income factors, as well as age and disability. Veterans are also a big group that comes from our area, so it's just the reality of the demographics of the population within that. I will say countywide, Chris is providing senior rides as well, and we're seeing that really skyrocket as a move.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Any further discussion on these items? All in favor, please. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Monthly reports, you have two on your desk for June and July. Please take them with you. Other business, I don't have any. Designation on the consent agenda, I have A, C, D. What's that? Not A, sorry. C, D, E, and G. And since we have nothing on policy and Pius is gone, I have, I'm sorry, that's right, we have another closed session going. Okay, other business, approval of closed session minutes, June 5th, 2012.
So moved.
So moved. Mr. Ralph, second, no. We're going to see.
Give it to Ralph.
Mighty stand. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Call for adjournment? Aye. So moved. Sign you done.